And this episode was brought to you by DRAFTKINGS Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbooking app. Not only is it safe, Deke, but it is secure and reliable.
Always a great thing.
No question. And for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. So, Deke, you like free money, right?
Who doesn't?
You also like the opportunity to win more money, correct?
Especially when it involves sports.
So, what are they waiting on? Download the app, use the promo code, and you get that. You get that opportunity to make some more money, baby. So literally, stop wasting time. Download the app, use the promo code, and get that opportunity, baby. Kevin Colbert was one of the candidates for the Lions GM job, but they just announced today that they're going to go with a guy named Brad Holmes, who was the director of college scouting for the Rams. I like the hire by the Lions. I did like the fact that they were considering Colbert. We obviously know he's a gold jacket guy for what he's been able to do under his tenure here. I mean, you look at the amount of success he's had. You look at the talent he's acquired through the draft, through free agency. I'm a Kevin Colbert baby as myself. So yeah, we all, his track record speaks for himself. But the reason why this is interesting is this.
It's really interesting.
So you obviously have Kevin Colbert, who has already said multiple times throughout the past year or two that, you know, he's eyeing his retirement. He's already switched his contracts to no longer super long extensions. It was 2-year deals every other year is how he's operating, right? So he's already letting you know that probably within the next 3 years, he won't be here. He'll probably be retired by then. But the reason why this is unique is because we have two candidates for GM positions already in-house. One guy has already had 2 interviews, Omar Khan. Omar Khan, he's the numbers guy. He makes the salary cap work the way it does. He already had an interview with the Texans. He had an interview with the Panthers. Now, obviously, he didn't get either job. The Texans went with Cicero out of the New England Patriots, and the Panthers, they just announced their guy about an hour ago, and they said it wasn't going to be Omar Khan. But the fact that he's already getting interviews, similar to what we talked about with position coaches. If this coach is starting to get interviews for head coaching jobs, you're not going to be able to hold on to him unless you start paying him that way or you promote him from within. That's typically how it works. So the fact that Omar Khan is already getting these interview spots, that's letting you know, okay, that clock is starting to tick in terms of decision making. Do we stick with Kevin Colbert for the next couple of years? Because obviously his track record speaks for himself. Do you allow him to retire whenever he chooses to? If he's, you know, hey, whenever Ben leaves, I want to leave. Do you do that with him? Or do you say, well, you know what? We have our replacement in terms of Omar Khan. Why let somebody else take this guy that we've groomed when we could potentially, you know, if we got to make this move a year early or so, we do that so that we already have this guy. Now, it's no guarantee that Omar Khan will be the correct guy, but he is a hot commodity in terms of GM candidate.
And he's already on the Steelers.
Yeah. He's been here. This is where he cut his teeth. This is where he learned everything. So if you're Pittsburgh, that's a decision because you're not going to be able to wait the next 3 years and hope that Omar doesn't leave without at least communicating to him like, hey, man, this is your job. As soon as he leaves, this is for you. Now, I've been a part of a scenario where that has been the case. When I was in Buffalo, they have Buddy Nix, who was a longtime GM up there. And towards the end of his tenure, they didn't want to force him out. But they were like, hey, look, man, we got this young guy, Doug Whaley, former Pittsburgh guy, right, who was waiting in the wings. Very similar to how we view Omar Khan. And what they did, it was a 2-year transition plan. The first year, they still allowed Buddy Nix to be the GM. He did the draft, he did the personnel, but he had an assistant GM who was Doug Whaley. Doug got the chance to learn up under him for that year. Then after that second year, Doug takes over in terms of being the front guy for the draft and everything. And then from there, they kind of ease Buddy Nix out of there. And that's how they made that transition. Now, they could do something like that with Omar Khan, but number one, they would have to communicate that with him. He would have to be open to that as well. And I'm sure they would have to do some type of compensation increase for him to sit there and say, I'll be the assistant until Colbert leaves. Now, that's one part of it. The other guy that we talk about is Brandon Hunt. Now, he is very similar to Brad Holmes, who was the director of college scouting for the Rams. They got the GM job for Detroit. Brandon Hunt is that for us. We love Brandon Hunt here. We all feel that he's going to be another really good GM because of how he has an eye for talent. He does a great job of scouting, whether it's draft, free agency. He's one of the best guys doing it. And
yeah,
he's
you
very
look at
young.
some of our drafts, man.
Absolutely. Young guy, very, very talented in that field. He is going to be another guy that's going to start coming up and getting interviewed for GM jobs. So if you are the Steelers organization, if you're Mr. Rooney, Do you hold on to Kevin Colbert to let him finish out however long he wants to go, but you run the risk of potentially losing two very much hot young GM candidates within, and now you got to go outsource whenever Colbert leaves? Or, like I said, do you find a way to keep one of those two guys or both of those guys and ultimately, have a tough conversation with Kevin Colbert? That's going to be a very difficult decision, because with Omar Khan and Brandon Hunt, they both are very specialized in one area, right? Omar Khan, he specializes in the numbers, but he's not necessarily a football guy in terms of a talent evaluator. Brandon Hunt, he is a great talent evaluator, but he hasn't proven to be a numbers guy just yet. So with either one of those guys, you are taking a chance. Neither one of those guys have had that experience of being the GM either. So whatever move you make, you have to be very strategic, because as we know, and as we can look around the league at various teams that have made moves at GM, if you get it right, great. But if you get it wrong, it can set your franchise back for multiple years. And this is, like I said, all happening while we're still going to be discussing the quarterback throughout this, whether it's this year, next couple of years. It's a lot of movement and a lot of major decisions that are going to be had, not only this offseason, but in the next 2 to 3 years, man. So it's a crazy scenario right now, man.
Well, I got two things.
Talk to me, baby.
What makes this really interesting to me, though,
yeah,
is like you said with Colbert and him saying, we're close to retirement, we're just going to do 1 year, 2 year deal, whatever it is. That Lions job would have been like a 5 or 6 year deal.
It would have to have been, right?
There's no way you go to a Lions job and you're just doing year by year.
No question.
And he was interested in it.
Yes.
So like, what's at play here?
You see? But then also remember this, 2 years ago, he was linked to the Panthers job as well. Yeah. And people started asking, hey, is he going to leave to go to Carolina? I believe that he has some type of family ties in Carolina, or is something about Carolina from a personal standpoint that made it interesting to him. And that's what made it a lot more realistic to everyone else. But like you said, even if he took the Carolina job, that wouldn't have been a 2 year thing either. But he's definitely switched his contracts to that style in Pittsburgh, and he's already publicly said that. This isn't me speculating. This isn't me being hypotheticals. I don't like hypotheticals. These are all factual things. So, yeah, man.
I have no clue.
It's a weird dynamic,
there's
right?
no answer. It's just like, what the hell's going on?
Right. And if you're Mr. Rooney, how do you handle that?
Yeah, what do you think of it? Whenever
like to me, I can see both scenarios, right? I can see the scenario where, what, I'm not even going to tell you both scenarios. We'll clarify both scenarios, and then I'll tell you what I would do. So both scenarios, kind of how I broke down. You could ride with Kevin Colbert until the sunset, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, however long it may be. And then from there, you let the chips fall where they may. If you were able to retain Brandon Hunt or Omar Khan on your staff, well, then obviously you'll promote those guys after the fact. If not, you look for one of the next hot commodity GMs. Okay, that's one way you can go about it. The other way is what I alluded to, what they did in Buffalo with Doug Whaley and Buddy Nix. You pick which one you like more between Omar Khan and Brandon Hunt. You come to them with the offer and say, hey, look, I'll pay you this as an increase. We will change your title to assistant GM. And then from there, whenever Colbert decides to leave, whenever that may be, you'll be the guy. If they're open to it, cool. And now we got that plan in place. If it's me, I'm taking option B, what I just said in terms of Colbert, man. Let me know how long you plan on staying. Are you, when Ben goes, you go? And that's fine if that is the case, because I do think him and Tomlin are taking similar approaches with that, right? Especially over these next couple of years. I do think whenever Ben decides to hang it up or he is gone, I think within the next year or so, both of those guys will be gone as well. So
Tomlin too.
I do. And not in a bad way.
Fresh start.
I just think a fresh start. I think that's what it's going to come down to, man. And like I said, right, wrong, or indifferent, I just think that that's what it's going to be. And you have to think how long he's already been here as well. He's been here for a long time. This doesn't happen at the NFL level. You know what I mean? Like, you don't stay at a head coaching spot 15, 17, 20 years.
Tomlin,
not at one spot.
Belichick, Reed,
you see what
Peyton,
I mean? It's rare.
Yeah.
Rare. So when I'm thinking of that, if I'm Mr. Rooney, I'm taking that approach of, hey, look, man, let me know how long you plan on staying.
You just want to know.
I just need to know. Because once I know if it's 1 year, 3 year, now I can go to Omar Khan. And the reason why I would probably go Omar over Brandon Hunt is because I do think at this level as a GM, the numbers of a salary cap are a lot more important. Talent evaluation is right up there. I feel like it's 51-49. I feel like 51 because if you don't have the cap in order, I don't care how great you are at evaluating talent. You're not going to be able to get those guys here. You're not going to be able to keep those players
capitalize
here.
on a big free agent year or something.
Absolutely. Whereas with Omar, we've seen Omar. I mean, the wizardry he did last year to get us Ebron.
How the hell did we get Ebron?
We were still trying to figure that out. I'm like, I don't even know what he did, what blood oath he took. But
or even getting Derek Watt.
You see what I
now,
mean? Like,
if you agree or disagree with the signing, still
like,
having that space.
Have that money, right? So when I think of that, I'm like, I want a cap wizard, because not only in the short term is it going to be needed with Ben, and regardless if you keep him or not, you're going to have to make moves. But going forward, when we draft a new guy, whether we sign a new guy to be the franchise guy, if you go with Mason, whatever it is, I want a guy that knows how to make those numbers work. And then from there, I'm going to just rely on that scouting department to do what they do. You got to rely on somebody, right? But with Brandon as the GM, and not saying that he's not capable, I just haven't seen him in that role where he has had to make the numbers work. So that's always my biggest thing with him from that standpoint.
Okay.
But that's the approach I would take, though. And like I said, once Kevin tells me how long he's staying, 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever it is, I'm going right to Omar. I'm saying, look, man, this is the scenario. What does the number have to be to make you stay? And I love when they had that conversation, because I've been on the good end of that conversation before. When they come in, they say, all right, we messed up. What's it going to take to make you happy? And then you get to just be outlandish. You're going to need to do this, and don't forget that. Like it's certain times when you know you got them. And if you Omar, you got to know, baby, those two interviews, even though you didn't get them, that is hey, I got you guys now, because I've already taken these interviews.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Right. There's no more speculation of if I can make the jump. They already wanted me. Now, granted, they might have went elsewhere for whatever the reason may be, but I've already gotten interest from multiple teams now. So now you're going to have to, either fork over this money, or I'm taking my talents elsewhere the next opportunity I get. So, yeah, that's how I'm approaching them.
You broke it down excellent, dude.
And we make the money work after that. Hope for the best, right?
So, yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like, we want to know. If you're Rooney, just let us know. No more of this 1-to-1 year deals and
I need to know, man.
Just uncertainty. It's like, just let me know.
Essentially, if Kevin Colbert, if he doesn't communicate that with Mr. Rooney, it would be very much similar to Ben Roethlisberger. If he doesn't communicate, hey, do I want to play 1 year? Do I want to play the next 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, whatever? You essentially hold the organization hostage, because we respect you and love you so much, and your productivity throughout your tenure was so great that we aren't going to move on from you if it's not agreed upon by both of us. But the reason why it holds you hostage is because, we can't plan ahead, because we still have you guys here, and we just can't do both. So that's why I said, man, if you take that approach and not communicate it, then you put the organization in a bad stance as well. Because if you're Mr. Rooney, if I don't know how long Kevin Colbert's staying, I can't communicate that with Omar Khan or Brandon Hunt. And either one of those guys, to tell them to just sit, wait, and hope for the best in the next 3 to 5 years, that's not realistic. Those guys aren't going to do that. So that's why I think it's important. And no different with Ben. Ben is going to have conversations with those same guys in terms of Tomlin, in terms of Kevin Colbert and Mr. Rooney, to let him know, hey, man, look, I want to get another 2 years, or I just want 1 year, whatever it is. And whatever they all agree upon, he has to communicate that with them. It can't be this open-ended, oh, man, well, it could be next year. It could be 5 years. It could be this. Like, they're not going to be able to operate the way they need to. Mm-hmm. So that's why, for me, I think communication is going to be key in both of those scenarios, man.